morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Chapter 4. We had finished up talking about the Golgi apparatus, and I said that one of the jobs of the Golgi, of the products of the Golgi, is to become this structure called a lysosome. What does lyse mean? L-Y-S-E. Lyse means to rupture or to pop. Some means body. So a lysosome is a breaking body. Now, they're not called lysosomes because they break. They're called breaking bodies because they break down things inside the cell. Some cells will engulf, will eat foreign particles. And when they eat this foreign particle, they then attach a lysosome to it to break it down. A good example of this, and again, not all cells do this, and to be fair, not even most cells do this. But the cells that do this in your body, like some of your immune cells, it will engulf, it will eat, like a bacterium or a virus or something like that. It brings it inside of one of those little vesicles, one of those little bubbles, and then it attaches a lysosome to it. And again, like soap bubbles attaching, they kind of fuse together and make one big bubble. That lysosome contains digestive enzymes. What do digestive enzymes do? They digest stuff? Yes, and what these digestive enzymes will do is they'll digest whatever was in that vesicle that contains something from the outside. And again, what kind of cell we're talking about? We're talking about an immune cell. So what are these digestive enzymes going to do? What is an immune cell going to eat? Something trying to make you sick, something trying to hurt you. And so the lysosome will release digestive enzymes and destroy whatever that thing was, a bacterium, a virus, whatever. Lysosomes, they're begun by the rough ER, they're finished and released by the Golgi. As we said, they will digest food particles. I put food in quotes because the food that it digests, it's not food as in like eating, it's food as in it ate something like a white blood cell will eat a foreign invader. As we said, destroy bacteria eat by white blood cells. And, white blood cells, that's the part of your blood that is dedicated to your immune system. And they'll also recycle damaged organelles. There's not any extra room inside of a cell. So if you've got an organelle that's not doing its job, I've got to destroy it so that I can make a new one and put in that spot. There's no extra room inside of an organelle. So here we see this right here is the cell membrane. Remember, imagine a huge cell. This is the cell membrane. There's something outside that the cell's going to eat. We're probably talking about a white blood cell here. It brings this thing inside of a pocket of membrane. Here's my little pocket of membrane that it couldn't get into the cell to begin with, so that means it can't get out of this pocket of membrane and brought it inside. The lysosome contains digestive enzymes and will attach to this vesicle. The two fuse together, two small soap bubbles join to make one big one. And when the two join together, it releases those digestive enzymes, and what the digestive enzymes do is they gobble up, they destroy whatever was inside of that food vacuole. Again, put food in quotes. It's not doing this because it's hungry. It's doing this because this is its job to protect you, to defend you against something trying to make you sick. Another job of lysosomes is to break down worn-out organelles. Here we see a mitochondria that's no longer doing its job. And so, because just like anything else, organelles wear out. They break. And when they get broken, they have to be replaced. Before I can replace it, I need to destroy the old one because, well, that's where that organelle goes. So I've got to get rid of the old one before I can put the new one there. And it's the job of the lysosome to get rid of the old one. Same process. Lysosome attaches to the organelle. The digestive enzymes gobble up, shred whatever is inside that little vacuole. The next organelle is called the cytoskeleton. What does cyte mean? C-Y-T-E. Cyte means cell. So what does cytoskeleton mean? It means the skeleton of the cell. Your skeleton determines your overall body shape. The cell's skeleton does the same thing. It determines its overall body shape. The cytoskeleton has three basic components. The first component is called microtubules. Microtubules, let's change our image of a cell for just a few minutes. Let's now, instead of envisioning a water balloon, let's envision that a cell is like a tent. A tent has the fabric, which is the walls of the tent. That's like the cell membrane. The tent poles are what determine the overall shape of the tent. You rearrange the poles, you rearrange the shape of the tent. The microtubules are like the tent poles. The microtubules are hollow rods that determine the overall shape of the cell. And just like in a tent, you've got more than just poles that hold the tent up. You also have ropes. Except the ropes on a tent are on the outside, but the ropes on a cell are on the inside. And these are called intermediate filaments. Poles resist being smushed. Ropes resist being tugged. And the ropes inside of a cell, the intermediate filaments, that's exactly it. Their job is to resist tension, to resist being pulled. The job of the microtubules are to resist compression, being squished. Intermediate filaments, it depends on the kind of cell that they're in as to what they're made out of. And because they're made out of different things, depending on the kind of cell they're in, they have different names. So the intermediate filaments that we find inside of a muscle cell are called muscle filaments, myofilaments. The intermediate filaments we find inside of nerve cells are called neurofilaments. So they have different names depending on where you find them. They're woven like ropes. And just as in a tent, we don't just have tent poles, we don't just have ropes, we also have threads. You have threads that stitch the seams together. Cells also have threads, and these threads are called microfilaments. Microfilaments are made out of what's called actin. I'll show you a picture in just a minute. It's a special molecule that makes these threads. And each different cell type has a different arrangement of actin. So, and it really kind of depends on what kind of cell you find them in as to what the actin specifically does. In like a sperm cell, it participates in making the tail spin. In a muscle cell, it participates in the actual constriction of the cell, of the muscle cell. Of the three components, the microtubules are the biggest, microfilaments are the smallest, and intermediate filaments, as the name implies, are intermediate in size. Here we see microtubules. It's like a hollow tube. They resist compression. Here we see intermediate filaments. They're like ropes. They're woven like ropes. They're intermediate in size. And last is microfilaments. These are the threads. These are made of actin. And actually in this picture right here, these little ping pong balls, those are actin subunits, little pieces of the cytoskeleton. So these three structures, microtubules, intermediate filaments, microfilaments, they make up the skeletal elements of a cell, the guts inside a cell. Cells, some cells will have vacuoles. Plant cells and some protists will have vacuoles. These are just really large vesicles, really large pockets. They have digestive function, like I said before. If a plant cell doesn't know what to do with a particular chemical, it just kind of will shove it into the central vacuole. There are some digestive enzymes inside that central vacuole, so it kind of fulfills the job of the lysosome. Remember, plants don't have lysosomes. So the central vacuole will kind of fulfill the job of the lysosome. It will hold some of the pigments that we find in plant cells, some of the accessory pigments, and it will, like we said, it'll contain those protective poisons. A cell will fill it full of junk. Here we see a plant cell. There's the nucleus of the plant cell. These are the chloroplasts of the plant cell. Notice how there's a lot of chloroplasts in there. It's mostly filled with chloroplasts. Mostly filled aside from the central vacuole, this giant balloon in the center. And that giant balloon in the center, what is its job? Its job is to hold water. because the job of the plant cell is to do photosynthesis, and photosynthesis needs lots